Hi everyone, it's John here again with another Indie Hangout. We've got different folks this time, some new folks and some old faces. The idea of this one is it's going to be a little bit different format. We usually just do it where it's a little bit prepared and stuff like that. This time around, we've got a special guest, John Duffy. I'll talk a little bit more about him real soon. We've got Chris Hill, welcoming him back, of course, from his recent hangout with us. And George Ohan, and who's invited our special guest this evening, John Duffy. And John, I understand from what George has told me that you've had a background both in as an actor and then recently as a line producer, and you have quite a background in terms of in film in general and stuff like that. So, if you would, maybe you could talk a little bit about just how you got into the industry and what really got you going.
Yeah, I like to say I've lived 5 lifetimes, and I hope I have 1 or 2 more. But one of my lifetimes, I started acting back in New York, and I did some theater and some film in New York. Moved to California to pursue that further as an actor. And when I was out here, I started working as a counselor with runaway kids in Hollywood. And one of my fellow counselors, one of my buddies, he started directing some rap videos, and he asked me at that time to be his production manager. And so I asked him, I said, well, what does that mean? And he told me, and then I said, sure, let's do it. So I started production managing his rap videos, and that kind of opened up another door besides the acting. And then I decided to go further with that and moved out of production management of music videos, and moved into kind of bluffing my way into line producing my first feature film. And did a great job on it, and from that point on, that became my next career path, which is line producing features, and I've done probably 25 to 30 features as a line producer since then.
Awesome. And what would you say, like, kind of, has been kind of your struggles along the way or challenges? In fact, what would you say has been your greatest challenge so far?
Well, in the beginning of my career, the challenge was dealing with difficult people. And many cases, producers who were really somewhat insane, somewhat unbalanced. And I kind of got a reputation for being able to manage difficult people and kind of getting through, kind of finding a way to build rapport, communicate, and even move past their insanity. So I had, a lot of skills coming from other parts of my life. But, I got tired of that. And finally, I kind of got past that and started working with people who had the same ethics and the same values and the same mindset that I had. And that's been a much smoother path and a much more enjoyable path for sure, because when you're working with people who are on the same page and are solution people and problem solvers, then you just you work it out, you figure it out, and you make it happen, and there's not a lot of drama, and you keep the drama in front of the camera instead of behind the camera, which is what I prefer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key there is that we all really have a much better journey, a much more enjoyable one when we're working with people who share our values and that, like you said, that aren't insane in terms of their values or just how they do business and stuff. What would you say now that you've done all this that has been your greatest achievement or the one that you're most proud of?
Well, that's hard. I mean, I have a few that I'm most proud of just in the recent period. So rather than, it's hard to say what I'm proud of because I have a lot. But in the recent period, the 2 that I'm most proud of, one was stepping up and directing the Flag Project, because I originally started out to line produce that, and it was a labor of love, or what we call projects, passion projects. We called this one a compassion project. We put so much in it, basic. And so I stepped up. It was my first time directing, so I directed 2 shorts for the Flag, and one of them got into the GI Film Festival, which me and George, who produced it, and we got a chance to attend the GI Film Festival. So that was a real accomplishment. And then prior to that, I did a line produced, co-produced a feature film that hopefully will be released theatrically in January, which is called A Sunday Horse, which is based on a true story in the horse equestrian world about a poor girl who overcomes obstacles to achieve her dream. And so once again, those are the kind of projects that inspire me, is projects that really tell stories of inspiration or overcoming adversity and all odds. Those are the kind of things that are closest to my heart.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting because that's definitely the kind of story that really resonates with folks in the military. But from what George tells me, actually, you actually didn't serve in the military. So it's interesting that your career has taken on such a turn where you're, working with folks in the military. In fact, he mentioned something about, I don't know, something about your background with a certain political group.
Well, that's a long story. But bottom line was, when I first came out here to LA, it's just kind of like doors open. That's how my life has been, and I kind of go through them. And one of my next door neighbors was a Marine Corps sergeant, and he became like a big brother to my daughter. So that was my first real introduction to the military, and I really liked the guy, and I just started to appreciate the military because of who he was. And then all of a sudden, I got hired to line produce some videos for the Marine Corps. So I got a chance to go to Quantico, and I got a chance to go to Camp Pendleton. So all of a sudden, like the Marines were all part of my life, and I got to meet all these great young men and women who were leaders, and it just really gave me a personal appreciation on a deep level for all the service people who serve.
John, I'd like to interrupt you, please.
Yes, sir.
The reason I thought it was important to to mention that to John Chang, and we kind of beat around the bush, but you went from being a communist to now working on military veteran-friendly things, and not just like, hey, yeah, I'm a communist. You were part of the Communist Party, and that was a real thing. And so the reason I think that's important to talk about is because a lot of the veterans that I talk to and that I help out and that I work with, they're really stuck to an idea. They're really stuck on a thought, and it's hard for them to let go of something and say, no, okay, I think differently now. I think different. It's okay for me to have a different idea. I used to think this way about something, but now I'm going to do this. So not only is it brave, it's courageous, but to go forward with it and then really embrace the veteran community with your films and the projects you're working on. They're not just some throwaway things. The things that you've really produced for the military, I mean, that says a lot. And that's why I thought it was important, because coming from one extreme side and going all the way to another side and really helping out the community that you're against, I think that's important to show people that change is possible.
Well, just to kind of talk to that for you, George, I've had a very deep life. I grew up in the South Bronx. I dropped out of high school when I was 15 years old. I grew up in a neighborhood where I was pretty much the only white family. So I got to have a different experience growing up, and I hung out with the Black Panthers and I hung out with the Black Muslims as a teenager, and I was involved in a lot of radical activities because that was my world. And as a high school dropout, I got introduced to a lot of ideas because of the Black Panthers and groups like that took me down a certain path of getting involved in Marxism and eventually being a Maoist leader and leading trips to China and stuff like that. But I was always somebody who read a lot and questioned a lot. And on my journey, I started to see behind the curtain, because I thought communism at that time as a young person was a utopia, which is how it was presented to us, and got to see that it wasn't a utopia, but in many cases it was a real nightmare. So it took me a while to change my opinions, but as I started to see things, I questioned and questioned and questioned, and I started to rethink what I believed and why I believe things. So it's hard to do that, I think. It's hard to look at your life and say, hey, I was wrong here, I was wrong there, I wasted time here. But I think it's an important thing to do. And even to this day, no matter what I believe today, I'm still constantly questioning myself because, a lot of times we fall into the traps of just believing and not being willing to question, are we doing the right thing? Are we thinking the right thing? So I've come full circle to where I am today, and I say I kind of came back. My dad was he was an Irish immigrant who joined the Army and fought in the Philippines. So in many ways, I felt like I came home and I got back to appreciate what he was about and what contribution he gave to me by coming to America and giving me the American dream. It took me a while to get there, but that's where I got, and that's kind of what I've done in my life. So that's kind of a unique journey that I've gone on.
I want to say real quick that what you just said just really resonates with me, because I recently wrote a little bit about curiosity. And what I want to say there is that one of the things that they've said before is that the only thing for evil to happen is for good to do nothing. I think the only thing for tyranny to happen is when we've failed to ask questions, we fail to be curious. What are the real answers of, is this the right way of doing things and stuff? So I think that really resonates me of where not only is it artistically important to be curious, but I think also different times, unless we question, why a government is a certain way or why some of these, and rather getting too much into a political discussion, but I just wanted to kind of point out that, having a curiosity is important in so many different ways and stuff. So thank you for, just basically presenting that.
And also being willing, John, to because it's easy to question people you disagree with. That's easy, or people that you don't agree with. But you also have to question yourself and question your beliefs, and not just always feel just because you believe something you're right. You may be, you may not be. So it's like being willing to listen to other sides, listen to other opinions, and be open to question your own beliefs as well, and not be afraid to do that. And rather than just thinking, hey, I know everything. When I was young, I knew everything. Now I'm older, I realize I know very little, even though I know a lot more than I did then. So there's more with wisdom. You realize how much you know and maybe how much you don't know.
Absolutely, and that's definitely why I also want to open it up a little bit and change the format. Like normally at this point, we just kind of conclude in some ways and stuff like that. But I guess I want to open up the discussion a little bit, just to kind of about this idea of curiosity and about how different times, as an artist entrepreneur, we have to both put out into the world our work, but also be curious enough and listen to what the feedback they give us as an entrepreneur. And so I want to kind of talk a little bit to, kind of just in general about this idea and stuff like that. Because one of the other guests here, Chris, is on the eve of launching another restaurant, and he's definitely, also considering how this will impact him, because certainly he can create the things that really attracts him as a chef and as individual, stuff like that. But he's also different times has to listen to his audience and his customers and what they say as what it is that they value about what he presents and stuff.
Somebody do?
Yeah. Can I jump in?
Yeah, sure.
I was going to say I absolutely agree, and I was on, I think it was Twitter earlier today, and I didn't actually read the article, but a headline that said, being bilingual helps you to be more creative. And I want to go back and read the article, but I kind of get the gist of it, I think, just based on the headline of opening and expanding your horizons and what you think is possible, and all those kind of things that when you're kind of one, you have one kind of tunnel you're going down. I think you're so stuck in like he just talked about a minute ago, unwilling to look at things in different ways. But when you realize that you have a product, you have to obviously think not only about, all right, who am I as an artist or a creator or a service provider, but how am I going to be able to benefit the people out there while also making money? I think there's kind of two sides of the story, that a lot of us are either good at making money or we're good at an art or being crafty, but I think to combine the two is massively important.
Yeah, I've definitely made that mistake a few different times myself, where I've created information products or written a book and stuff, and just figuring that, yeah, it's interesting information or valuable, so therefore other people would automatically think so and stuff.
Right.
But the thing I've really come to learn is actually more important to build your audience and then provide what it is that they are asking for. That's so much more important than simply, you can have the best product, the best service and stuff, but unless you have that audience that's hungry and, ready for it, then it really doesn't matter. It's really a lost effort. And I think that's a real challenge, too, for filmmakers different times, because, again, different times we're kind of operating on what it is that we figure is a story they want to learn or what it is that they want to watch and stuff, but then, different times, unless we get that feedback, unless we have a real sense of what it is that that audience wants and stuff, then it could be the best movie, and we all know plenty of movies that lose money and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And we have before we go a little bit further, I want to introduce. Actually, George, would you mind introducing
Mr.
Santos?
Santos, Sergeant Santos over here. I want to say, I love this guy. He's a G. He went and put on his shirt with the logo on it for the video. Branding and marketing right there in the back. It even says branding and marketing directly behind him. You gotta love it, like doing all the right things. That's firing on all cylinders. Okay. We got a couple of businesses going recently, but before we jump into all that, I want to hear a little bit about the journey. How John Duffy, film producer, told us a little bit about coming up. I know Mr. Santos had his own journey, single mother, Los Angeles, joining the Marine Corps, getting promoted to sergeant. You know, tell us a little bit about that. Jump right into it and bring us up to speed.
All right, gents. My name is Eddie Santos, and I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I'm 37 years old now. Yeah, like you said, Omar, I appreciate the introduction. I was born in South Central to my mom. My mom was 15 years old when she got pregnant with me, and then she was 16 when she had me. I didn't know who my dad was until I turned 21, and I found him through the internet through an AOL CD, a CD-ROM. I plugged it in. I did a search on OnePages.com, and I found my dad, and I went to go see him a few weeks later for the first time in my life. And in the last 16 years, I've only developed this relationship with some people where we're good friends. We drink tequila shots now. I've got brothers and a sister. My whole life, I went to 10 different schools growing up, welfare, washing windshields when I was 10 years old, always on welfare, money, struggling, and then it went from that to the other side of the spectrum, which is where we got into more like cartel money, like bricks of cocaine stacked in the closet, and my mom would disappear for a few days, and I had to take care of my two little brothers. And so my life's always been very relatively to me, was kind of always on a fast pace. I had to be really smart and trying to figure out how to survive. And it wasn't until I went to high school that I was working 2 jobs, 7 days a week. And I went to El Segundo High. My aunt let me live with her. And then 2 days after high school graduation, I joined the Marine Corps. And it was like a vacation, in a sense, from financially, that I didn't have to worry about money or food or insurance. The Marine Corps just took me in, and I went the Marine Corps weighing about 165. I came out weighing about 139. I barely made it to the boot camp. It was so intense. And the Marine Corps really instilled to me a higher level of discipline, of honor, courage, commitment, these leadership traits that I had no idea that were part of the packaging when I met the recruiter. I signed up originally with the Army, and when I met with the Marine Corps recruiter and I found out about the history and what they were really about, my whole mentality changed, and I wanted to be a Marine. And in 2002, after 9/11, I'm a radio operator for a unit called Anglico, 3rd Anglico. So where we call in airstrikes, we call in artillery, naval gunfire. I'm airborne, which is qualified, which is very unique for the Marine Corps. So anyhow, I was very lucky, very lucky to have landed with this really cool team of Marines that does a lot of cool stuff, And after 9/11, I could have gotten out. Can you open the door for Brittany? After 9/11, I knew that those buildings got hit. I knew we were going to go in. I could have gotten out, but I chose to stay in because I was in the reserves and I could have pulled out. But I felt more obligated, I felt my duty to even get more involved and get more trained. So anyhow, the bottom line is I ended up in Iraq, and ironic enough, just to lay the story short, I brought back. Let me just put it this way. I brought back, I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's Saddam Hussein's statue from Iraq in one of the villages. It's about 78 pounds, or 68 pounds. And you got some pictures back here. My buddies out there in Iraq, so we didn't really have much of an infrastructure when we went in, But I came back from Iraq with a whole different perspective in life. My friends all came back to life, but at the same time, something happened to me, and I cannot. All I can explain it is that my level of PTSD, which I am classified with PTSD, is that it's very powerful, but I was able to harness the power of it and bracket it and put a -1 to it. Which is like I took the inverse of that power to not sit there and get depressed and feel sorry for myself and fall in this this black hole. I use that power to basically propel me to get shit done. You know, I started learning how to organize my life, how to get shit done, how do I reverse engineer the vision that I have? Because everybody's got visions. Everybody wants to run a marathon. Everybody wants to be in good shape. Everybody's business, but I use that energy to propel me to get me through that, to inspire the motivation, to inspire the achievement and success. And I created this program called VGOD. So it stands for, I use it a lot all the time. It stands for Vision, Goals, and Tasks. And if you look at my office right now, I mean, people laugh at me, but everything is organized. And an organization to be successful, any business to be successful, you've got to be organized. And the Marine Corps is organized. Everything we do is organized. How we eat is organized. How we talk, everything's just programmed, you know. And I've been a business banker now worked for Wells Fargo, for Bank of America, I do commercial lending. And what I realized is that a lot of business owners are out there, and they're all about, I call them hungry hippos. It's all about me, 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 me. Bottom line, bottom line, bottom line. And I got to the point where I kind of got a little bit sick and tired of it, you know. And I thought to myself, you know what? There's got to be more to life than just taking from people, you know. So Inspire Moss, I created this organization called Inspire Moss, and I do motivational speaking at the high schools. I do a lot of speaking with veterans, and then I do a lot of motivational speaking just in general. I have people come here in my house. My phone's blowing up all the time. Like, I just want to inspire people now. That's all I want to do. But I did start another company called California Green Turf, and that company's taking off on me. And it's starting from, I literally quit my job 3 weeks ago, and I'm at a point now where I got my real estate license, I got my contractor's license, and everything's pretty much taken off on me. And I'm about to jump into this whole different world of helping California stay green with all this artificial turf, because people are putting rocks and they're changing the landscape of California to like Arizona, you know. And I thought I wanted to do something about it. So I made a commitment to start a company. I'm employing my family. I'm employing my uncle who hasn't had a job for 3 years. I'm employing my little nephew who's got tattoos. I'm inspiring people. I'm bringing jobs now, and it's so fulfilling, you know. And bottom line, 5% of my revenues go straight back into charity. Surf Rider Foundation, the Wounded Warriors. I'm doing everything in my power to give back to society. This is not about money for me. It's about purpose, you know. So the power and the passion and the PTSD, all these things have put me in a situation where no longer pushing, I'm being pulled by something, and I can't explain it. Yeah, I was brought up with Christianity. Yeah, I was brought up with certain beliefs in Christianity, and I question it, and I agree with what the gentleman had to say earlier about questioning your belief system, you know. And I'll tell you one thing though, I don't want to get into politics. I don't want to get into ISIS, and I don't want to get into this. All I know is that we know evil when we see it. And as much as I see those ISIS guys doing what they're doing, I hate to say this, I give those guys a hug. And I want to say, I feel bad that you're so fucked up in the head that you're actually doing what I think is the wrong thing. But there's a part of me always inside that has sympathy, because I feel somehow, I don't want to say there's a victim, I feel like there's people in pain, you know? And that pain is being manifested in a positive way or in a negative way. And all I want to do when I die from this planet is I want to be an inspiration to people and turn my cheek around and say, dude, if it makes you feel better to punch me in the face and to kill me, of course, I'm not going to let them do that because I'm a Marine, but I want to get to the who you are. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I want to get to core of who you are and see this any way I can break your lock, you know, and undo the code. And that's pretty much what I'm all about, you know?
Very good. Very well said, man.
Awesome. Yeah, I tell you, you've dropped quite a few different truth bombs, Eddie. Really appreciate it. One of the things I really am big about as well is about the idea of value before rewards. Like you said, so many times people, especially when we go to these business network meetings, they're all about what can I get, and stuff like that. And the thing that I really, encourage folks to look at is what value can you bring to any situation and stuff like that. Just even like right now in this conversation, I feel like my value is simply just to highlight that concept that you just talked about the importance of that otherwise, nothing else matters. You can have, again, the best, product, the best service, stuff like that, but it has to be valuable to your audience, to your customers, and stuff. And that's absolutely really critical. The other thing I think you mentioned that really, struck a chord with me was just the idea of different times, you're looking to, basically find different ways to convey that value, and whether it's bring a business into the community, That's absolutely, the things that we have to also consider as an entrepreneur is what is it that we can do to help, the community at large and stuff, not simply, make a profit and that kind of thing and stuff. So those are great thoughts that you've shared with us. Really appreciate that. I'm certainly definitely looking forward to kind of having more opportunities to talk to you about that further and stuff, about not only your new business but also the inspirational talks that you're giving and stuff. I think the other thing that we want to talk about was just basically that it seems like you're also you said there was something about that you're making a transition to civilian life, and then you've had some challenges with that and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about right now? Like, are there things that you're doing to take care of yourself and to basically not let that get in your way?
You know what? I had a hard time adapting from military to civilian life because my level of expectations were very high. And I just found out that I just ended up disappointing myself. And at the end of the day, I ended up feeling angry and upset that this person didn't carry on the mission that I'm so used to keeping, showing up late, not shaving, unprepared, like all these things. So what I realize now is that I'm a leader, and I've got to be able to lead my team, create a culture that will inspire people to push things to the fucking highest level possible. You know what I'm saying? So don't sit there and get angry about it. I changed my mindset now to realize that, look, I'm starting from scratch. If you're going to be part of my organization, if I'm going to get involved with you, I'm going to do business with you. Very smart business people who are very successful, who make a lot of money, find out that there's certain traits that they develop, They just I don't know how to explain it to you, but they're organized, they're prepared, and any entrepreneur, to succeed, you don't have a choice. That just is who we become, So for me, as an entrepreneur and being a Marine now, I hate to say this, but I use my timer all the time for everything. How long is it going to take me? Am I going to sit there and bullshit for the next 30 minutes with somebody about something? You got to stay very, very directed. It becomes kind of like being in a combat situation, You need artillery rounds out there. You need airstrikes out there. You need this out there, so on and so forth. I mean, for me personally, what makes me successful is that I'm just constantly with a sense of urgency and a lot of power behind that, and try to inspire my team to see the same vision. And then when we get there, we party. We open up a bottle of beer and we get fucking drunk, or do whatever you want to do. But let's only party after we're done doing our job,
Xavier.
Yeah.
One second. Xavier, can you add from your experience about organization and managing expectations? Because I feel like Eddie really hit on that. John brought it back up. And as an entrepreneur, I try to explain that to a lot of people in a lot of the discussions. But I feel like when I explain it, because my personality is kind of like Eddie's, I'm in your fucking face and I just want it this way and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes people almost get offended because I'm telling them they're unorganized, or I'm telling them like they need to manage, how much they want back from how much they're putting in. So, what's your explanation about that? What's been your experience with managing expectations and organization?
Well, my experience, what I've developed is when I'm looking to get something done, I have a goal in mind. Then what I do is I pull out a piece of paper and I write a couple of circles, like 4 circles on there. The first one will be the main goal. The one that's on the top is my main goal. And that one right there is just like, this is I don't know the time frame just yet. So then the next circle will be it'll be my year goal, month goal, my weekly goal, and then my daily goal. So whatever it is that I want to do in the time period that I want to get it done. If it's like I want to get something done by the end of the month, then I'll put the goal down there for 30 days or 31 days, and then I will calculate it back, how much I have to do inside a week, each week, in order to be able to satisfy that goal. And then after that, I'll break it down into days, what things do I have to do in those particular days to get to my month, to the end of the month goal, or whatever my goal is. So as far as like motivation to keep myself fired up, that's all a mindset. That's all keeping what you want right at the forefront of your mind, and as long as you have to constantly be thinking about it. You got to constantly be inside this expectation of hope, expectation and hope mixed together, and you gotta program yourself every day. You got to talk to yourself. You got to motivate yourself to get there. So to know why you want it in the first place, to see if it's if it's that desirable for you. If
How
you
do you
can't
find out why you want it?
Well, you have to have a very good reason. Are you passionate about what you want? If it's something that you want money but you don't know how you're going to get it, well, the first thing that you got to do is figure out what tool you're going to use to get that money, and to make it the most favorable for yourself, to make yourself happy and joyful as you're doing it. You have to do something that you're passionate about. If you're going into business and you're doing something just because you want to make money, well, there's plenty of different fields you could go in to make money. And along the way, you could become unhappy very quickly. So, what I tend to do is you pick what you're passionate about, and then you go from there.
Yeah, everybody that I've worked with in terms of business owners that have been successful have always been passionate about what they do. It's simply beyond, like, if anything, almost all of them started for some reason, of whether it was freedom, whether it was having time with their family and stuff. And it was beyond, simply, making money. I mean, that's the bottom line. That, I've worked with tons of entrepreneurs over the years and stuff, and it doesn't matter whether they're helping, to fix, windows, or they're working with animals or pets and stuff. Just about every, business that I've ever, seen with the different folks, it's always come down to that they were passionate about what they did. That's been the number one thing, and that's really the thing, is that at some point you're going to go through a rough patch, you're going to go through a difficult time, and unless you're passionate, it's not going to carry you through. It's not going to be a matter of like, well, we're just going to muscle through it and stuff like that. I mean, granted, different times it does take grit, takes determination. But unless you have that passion for what you're doing, it's just, otherwise just rationally saying, oh, this is, a good job, or this is a good opportunity, or this is a good product and stuff, is not going to be enough. Because unless you convey that passion through your work, your customers are going to pick up on that. They're going to sense that you're really not behind what it is you're doing. So you absolutely have to believe, in what it is that you're, selling them. I mean, that's essential.
Definitely.
I think, everybody's touched upon it in different ways, but I think everybody who is speaking here today, I think what brings us together is that we have a very similar belief systems of, one, like you said, having the passion for what you do, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're a filmmaker, you're an artist, you have that passion. And then the other thing I think we all have in common is that mindset. I mean, the thing I think that distinguishes failures from success is your mindset. And you can learn film, you can learn production, you can learn business, but if you have a mindset that's not one that's going to lead to success, if you're not going to be a problem solver and instead of going to be whining about problems, you're not going to succeed. If you don't have the correct mindset to start out with, you're not going to be able to overcome the obstacles in life. And I think when I speak, and I just did a class, I taught a master's class in film production at this college, and besides all the practical stuff which everybody can learn, one of the things that I kept pointing out to them is what's going to distinguish whether they make it or not is what their mindset is, and having a positive and a successful mindset that you can overcome all obstacles. It's just a matter of you finding. There's always a way. You'll find a way if you're willing to go all the way. So I think we have that in common. All of us.
How do you get that mindset? I wake up, I want to be pissed off, I want to be negative, I want to be angry, I want to blame people. How do I start to develop a mindset of success?
Well, I think one of it, you can adopt it from other people. One, you don't have to necessarily start out with it. You model the best behavior. If you want to, you see successful people, you model why are they successful. You pick the things that are going to make you successful and copy that behavior. Now, when you first start out, you might not be able to do that automatically. It's just like working out in the gym. When you first go out in the gym, you may not be able to really work out that hard, but you keep doing it, and basically it's a process. The more you do it, the stronger you get, the better you get at it. The same with your mindset. The more that you adopt positive belief systems from positive people and surround yourself with successful people and people who are promoting success, and you consciously choose to make a decision to adopt those mindsets, you'll get there. And you'll have to, at the beginning, you'll have to find a way to release those negative beliefs you have.
If somebody says, tomorrow I want to start changing my mindset, I watched this video, you guys got me inspired, what's the first step that they can do? I want one from John, one from Eddie, one from Xavier. What's one thing somebody can do to start to change their mindset to go down the right direction? Because most people, we're lost. Where do we start? So, Duff, go first.
No, I'm going to jump. I just kind of ran for a little while, so let Eddie and Xavier jump in, and I'll come in last.
All right, guys. I got my kids here. I have a little bit of time left here. But I can tell you that personally I know exactly what I need to do because I know this is research-based. There's a book called Mindset, actually. It's called The Growth Mindset. It's called The Fix versus the Growth Mindset. And I do this a lot in my seminars.
Great book.
And when I tell Great book, yeah, by Carol Dweck. She's and basically the idea is that you have sand. I tell you guys, you have sand. Not much is going to grow there, right? Some stuff will grow, but not a lot. Then you got fertilized soil. And what you got to realize, and you ask yourself, it's a simple concept: half full, half empty, right? Once you understand the fact that if you develop this first, you will understand that you're prepared now. You're prepared now to go to the next level. What's the next level? Then you got to plant the seed. And to me personally, as cheesy as it sounds, to me that's VGOT. That's the stage in my program. 5 stages: the soil, seed, the roots. You get the roots are your anchors, right? Your mentors, and then the other one is benchmarking, which is your stem, and then it's the flower. So my Inspire Moss program, it encompasses the entire cycle. So the first thing you need to do is not just change your mindset and say, hey, I'll be positive. Yeah, I'm gonna go do that. No, you gotta. That's the beginning of it. The next thing that's really critical for sustainable motivation and achievement and success is to reverse engineer your visions. Who you are. There's 3 elements in life, and they got to be balanced all the time. Your mind, academically, reading, getting your degree, bachelor's degree, whatever the hell you want to do, but stimulate your mind by reading and downloading the software into your freaking hard drive. That's what I mean by mind, all right? Then you got the body. The body doesn't mean just working out and eating like shit. It doesn't mean eating perfectly and not going working out. It means both of those things combined. You got to eat healthy food to create the energy, and then you got to go work out. Go for a run, do some lifting. Number 3 is the third part, which is very critical. Either religion, go do kumbaya, go do some, whatever it is, you do some meditation, go help someone out. Help grandma out, take the trash out, write a letter to somebody, go hug your neighbor. When you get those 3 guys every day and you make progress and you feel balanced, when you go to sleep, I guarantee you, you're going to start spinning and you start creating some energy. And you do it every day, every day, every day, every day, it's going to become the norm after a while. But the VGOT is very, very important. You create a vision with your mind. What do you want to achieve? You want to get your doctorate degree. You want to get your college degree. This year I got my MBA. I got my real estate license, and I just got my contractor's license, and I ran my 19th marathon. Bottom line, simple things. But the point is that's my mind. What am I doing for my body? I'm training for my second marathon. I'm training for the 20th marathon. I'm trying to qualify for the Boston. That's a goal. That's a vision that I have. So I create the vision. I create goals to support that vision. I got to run a half marathon at a certain pace. I got to run a 22 miles at that pace, and then booyah, I hit my vision, right? But before I run half a marathon at that pace, I got to run my objectives to support that goal. I got to run the 5 mile, and I got to run the maybe like an 8 mile. Those are objectives I got to do before I hit that goal. And then I got to break it down even further. I move that goal even further higher, and I say, what are my freaking tasks? My task, like you said earlier, Xavier, is getting up in the morning, reverse engineering, saying, like, morning I'm going to get up and I'm going to go run for half an hour. Or I'm going to go run for an hour. But you go get those tasks done. There's no ifs or buts. It's black and white. You do it or you don't do it. But when you have the blue chart, when you have the blueprint, and you have that vision of that perfect house that you just built, then you can get to work and get that nail and start hammering away. And then you go to the different levels. Then you go into the foundation, and then you go into the paint, and then you go into the planning. Then you have your vision. But you got to reverse engineer it. And I think what most people do wrong, they have a vision, and then they want to start building. And they don't think through of the fact that you got to think about those components. It requires critical thinking. It requires for you to sit there back and go, wait a second here. How do I break that crazy-ass vision into different components and create a roadmap so that I can succeed? Because when you do that, you always know what the direction is you're going to go. You have a clear vision, and then you got to think about the purpose behind it, of course. But then when you wake up in the morning, you're pumped up and motivated because every day accomplishing things, and every day you're accomplishing, as week goes by, you accomplish objectives, and then you knock down a big objective, and then you knock down your big goal. and you're just moving forward. This is constant. This is forward momentum of success and achievement that is unstoppable. And I think we have it as human beings. It's inside of us. However, not all of us realize that the importance of strategic planning, our vision, and reverse engineering it. Does that make any sense?
Definitely.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I wanna build on top of that because I love what he just said. And for the people that are asking, well, like, you know what? I'd love to have that drive. I'd like to be able to get up in the morning and say, you know what? I have the attitude where I'm just going to knock things out. There's one significant thing that Eddie said earlier when he was talking about his life, that joining the military was a very significant point in his life that changed his point of view. And for people that haven't went through something, haven't had that moment, that inciting moment in your life that's actually changed you, an experience that's changed you, then what has to happen is you're going against the mind, your conscious mind that has been programmed since you were young. You know, and everything that you do based on habits that you developed over watching your parents, watching your uncles and aunts, and anybody else that was influential in your life. So until some type of event happens inside your life, usually what happens is it's an external event. Something happens like either going to war or somebody passing away inside your family, or you know, losing your job, and then all of a sudden you're losing your house and there's chaos and you have to figure out what you're going to do. And then at that moment you make the decision. You decide at that moment that you're going to change, that something has to happen. And then what happens is your values switch from being relaxed and saying, you know what, I have a job, everything's secure, I really don't have to push myself. And we come at it with that attitude. We come at it with that inside our mind already set. So when we're like, I want to get my goals done, we're like, well, if I don't get it done today, then it's okay, because your subconscious mind's already used to the comfort that you have. So you have to create, I think we talked about this last time, is creating the chaos or switching values. One great illustration that I love is that if I asked you to carry a sandbag a mile, how would you feel about that, right? Your brain, your first thing what would happen is your left brain and your right brain. Your left brain would tell you how this is such a tedious task, and that, you know, why can't we do something else? So you're going to get all these things and all these thoughts inside your mind telling you why you shouldn't do it. But if you took that same scenario and said that maybe it was your child, it was your daughter that was dying in your arms and the hospital was a mile away, you would run as fast as you can, and the adrenaline inside your body wouldn't let you feel the pain. And that's simply because the value changed. There's a purpose now from why you're doing it.
Exactly. You hit. It's amazing. I think. Let me just cut that, because I think you hit on something really smart. It's very important that, you know what it starts. It starts with the concept of self, and loving yourself does not mean a narcissistic way. It means loving yourself in the sense that my daughter's 5 years old here in this picture. Look at how cool she is. She's got a little bear. She's got her glasses. She's cool, right? She's the happiest thing, little girl. I asked myself one simple thing that you just hit on. Of course, if you have a little brother because you don't have kids, so you have someone. But imagine someone at this age, so innocent. What would you do if you saw a bullet going straight across this room? What would you really do? I don't know about you, but I'm pretty obviously most of us would probably get in front of that bullet, right? You get in front of it and you protect it because you have unconditional love for that child. When you realize that you put yourself in, I replace my child with myself at 5 years old and ask myself, what do I deserve in life? Do I deserve my dreams to come true? Do I deserve to have a great life? Do I deserve to have a comfortable life? Do I deserve to do all that? Does this child deserve to become a dancer, to get a college degree? They deserve all that. So the moment I ask myself, the moment you decide to love yourself in that same manner, that's when the conviction comes in. Because it's when you put your own gas mask on first, then you can go try to help somebody else out. There's no way you can go try to help anybody out there unless you figure yourself. As a Marine, we cannot go out there and do our job unless we got our shit squared away, right? You gotta put the gas mask on first. It's ridiculous to think that they're gonna go try to help your buddy. You're sitting bleeding to death. It's not gonna happen. So the first number rule, like you said, I think the most dramatic thing we've got to learn, like the number one lesson in the beginning is learning the concept and really truly understand the concept of what it really means to love yourself. And that does not mean, oh, watch, check me out. Oh, look at my shoes. Look what I'm wearing. Has nothing to do with that. Unfortunately, society makes you think that, right? But anyhow, whatever. You just touched on. I had to jump in there. Sorry about that.
So yeah, what I was saying is that for like a crowd of people, like, or for the people that haven't had the training, see, because when you're in the military, you have people train you to think a certain way. And when you're a civilian and there's no one telling you to do anything. There's no one telling you to wake up in the morning. There's no one telling you to be better. There's no one telling you to go after your goals. that's the part where it's a very big challenge. And so the first thing that I think that has to come in with is your surrounding. Like as soon as you go into the military, you have a surrounding of people that all have a common goal, a common interest. So then everybody with the same mindset goes into the training. So in life, in a civilian life, in the civilian world, it's like, okay, so anybody that's not going to be in alignment with what your goals are in life and what this change of a human being that you're trying to do, because that's exactly what you're doing, is you're changing yourself. So if anybody around you doesn't want to change, or the people that are around you don't understand that type of a change, then you need to disassociate yourself with everybody for as long as you can. Change yourself. And the reprogramming process it's a difficult thing when you're going against yourself, because yourself's constantly telling you.
How could you separate yourself so quickly from everyone? What about the criticism? What about people talking about you? What about people will be posting on Facebook? How do I, without looking like an arrogant prick, just stop talking to people? Like, how does that happen?
You just distance yourself slowly. That's all. It's something you said a long time ago, that you just become irrelevant after a point. You know, people will seek you out, but when you're not there to look at, then eventually they'll stop looking. Yeah. So it's not like be rude and then cut them off. It's just like, I can't hang out with you every day if I have goals in my life and you're telling me, nah, dude, let's do something else. And it's discouraging if I tell you what I want to do and you're not supportive of what I'm talking about.
The more clear about what it is that you want to achieve and what it is that you want out of life, the more those people will go away too. You'll find that this naturally happens.
Yes.
Yeah, granted, there's some doubts like that, and that's the struggle. That's like early on when you're not sure. That's where you're most vulnerable to other people's opinions, stuff like that. But as you develop that clarity and stuff, the people that support it they will naturally be attracted to you as well. And then the other people that want to try to, shake your values, or shake, your what it is that you want to try to achieve in life, they're going to start fading away and stuff like that. And that's just part of the process. It's like shedding old skin is really, I think we've talked about that concept before, is absolutely part of it. The one thing I want to add, though, to what we've talked about, basically that idea, though, about surrounding yourself, and that's really key. The other thing is that, along with whatever we set out as our goals, with our mind and stuff like that, we have to also have that connection with our why, and that connection is a heart connection and stuff. And until we develop that, like again, we've talked about passion and everything, that without that alignment, we're going to run into trouble, and because again, at some point it's going to get hard, and unless you have that heart, you're not going to be able to kind of have the fortitude and the kind of the real drive to overcome it and stuff. So that's one thing that I would add, is just and that's the thing that you develop. It's, in other words, again, with that clarity, is you'll have that connection to what it is that you really want to achieve and stuff. So that's the one thing I would add to what the different things we talked about, is that just as you go one step after another, you develop that clarity in the process, and it's really not a thing of like, one time today, I decide what my goals are, and then, that's it. I'm just going to keep working towards that and stuff. It's along the way, you're going to be, learning more about yourself. You're going to be deciding develop that more clarity of your why, and those are the things that's just part of the process, and in your, what I call your entrepreneur's journey, which is something that, which is the key part of why we have this show even and stuff like that.
One other thing, just to get back to George's question when he said, what would you do tomorrow? And everything that everybody laid out, I think, is fantastic stuff, and I agree with all of it. What do you do every day? And, I have a philosophy that I learned from someone else called CANI, which is constant and never-ending improvement. And I came up with an idea,
What is it?
constant and never-ending improvement. So it's CANI. And basically, I kind of tweaked it and came up with this thing called DI, which for you guys who are in the military is kind of like your internal drill instructor. You have a drill instructor who's always demanding you to do more, right? So what DI stands for is daily improvement. So every day you raise the bar on yourself a little bit. So just on a physical level, when I go to the gym, if last week I lifted 20 pounds, now I'm going to raise it to 25. If I did 10 reps, I'm going to do 12 reps. That you're always constantly raising the bar and creating an attitude of daily improvement, or it's your internal drill instructor. It's basically inside yourself. It's like, one more. Give me one more push-up. Give me one more page. Give me one more phone call. give me one more contact with my customers. It's just constant daily improvement, and you always challenge yourself, you know, and you don't have to start out. You can't run a marathon, but you can walk 1 block. Then tomorrow you can walk 2 blocks. So you always keep raising the bar on yourself, never get into a comfort zone, but just raise the bar. And after a while, a year from there, down the road, you're going to see incredible changes in all the aspects of your life if you just keep raising the bar on yourself. So, you know, doing that on a daily basis, making a demand on yourself to do just a little bit more, have that voice inside your head going, you can do more, because we all can. We always stop before we need to. We always quit the exercise before we need to, because, you know, you give up before you really have to. There's always a lot more in us than we ever call on. And so we got to call on more and step up and demand more of ourselves. How
do you, when you start to have that feeling, of, you know what, that's it, I've done so much, you start to feel that self-pity, even though you're not even the self-pity person, but for some reason now you're feeling that it's overcoming you. You know, how do you get past that to say, no, I do have more? And a lot of times, especially with veterans, they know they've accomplished a lot more in past, and now they're like, oh, I can't even do this little thing. Even with business people, I mean, even graduating college is a massive achievement for a lot of people, and now they're faced with a little challenge, and everyone wants to quit before challenging through, because, you know, I think to them it's like the fear of the unknown. They don't know how much more they have to endure this, but to me, I'm like, so what? Endure it forever. Like, bring it on. So how do you start to develop that mentality to say, no, when I'm feeling like this is when I got to push the hardest? How?
Well, it's like you said, I think it's hard for people to understand this, but you always have a choice. And people don't really believe that a lot of times. They feel like they don't have a choice, that, you know, something happens and you react. But your reaction is a choice. You didn't have to react. Like you were saying earlier, you don't have to get angry at people because they're giving you grief on Twitter or whatever. You can choose to ignore it. You can choose to not read it. You always have choices, and the thing is always to choose the most empowering choice for yourself, and realize that. So when you're in a situation, it's kind of getting self-awareness, because your normal reaction might be somebody says something to you, and your normal reaction is to get mad and maybe want to hit them. That's human. That's your reaction. But is that the most empowering choice? Is that the wisest choice? Is that the choice that's going to get you your objective? Or is there a better choice to make? And if you step back and say, okay, here's a situation. What are my choices? Which one's going to empower me? Which one is going to get me the result I need? Which one is going to get me to success? And which one is just me reacting? Because when you go into reaction, you lose. You lose your control, you lose your power, you give your power away, and now you're in reaction and you're no longer in control of your decision. So you always got to be in control and make the decision and make the choice that's going to empower you and get you the results and the objectives that you want. Don't let your reactions take you down the wrong path.
I like that. Always have a choice. Santos, what would you add to that, Sergeant Santos?
You know, I think it's funny that you asked me that question, because, I mean, you're right. It's like, what do? You're not in the military. You're just a civilian. How do I inspire? I'm in a, excuse my language, I'm in a screwed up situation. What do you really do? I think that and it sounds really cheesy, but I mean, if you think about it, if you realize that, you got to realize that there's a concept that you just got to invest in yourself, and just realize that just the way there's math, there's science, there's biology, there's tons of books everywhere on everything. But the moment you realize that, look, I just got to, number one, find a mentor, find someone who I can look forward to, someone that I admire, and go have a conversation with that person. Number two, go to any bookstore, go to any public library, and go to self-help books, go to motivational books. You will find something, and we're all basically saying the same thing over and over again. I mean, you'll realize that we all speak the same language, but basically it's like saying, look, you're dehydrated, go drink a damn liquid. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think we actually even look at it that way. You know, we're taught mathematics academically. How many times have you heard, oh, I never learned that in school. Oh, I never learned that in school. And then you're right, we don't learn stuff. I think what we need to realize in this new paradigm, in this new life in 2015 and moving forward is that there's absolutely no way to live a fulfilled life without especially putting our energy and focus in either finding people or finding knowledge out there that's specifically designed not for some religion stuff, not about programming books, not about creating a social media website. It's specifically designed about life. people that can inspire you in life, people that can coach you. I don't know what the hell you want to call it, a motivational company, Robin's, I mean, whatever that genre is, just realize that that's got to be a critical component of your self-development. You get my point? So I would say to anybody who's depressed, start reading a book, start having a conversation, reach out to somebody, but don't sit in your room and close the door and go, I'm going to do this all by myself. You ain't going to fucking do it unless you go on Google. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you got to reach out.
Well, George, like the group you're involved in, Team Red, White, and Blue, the other way to deal with when you're depressed is to reach out and help somebody else. Because when you give of yourself to others, it takes you out of yourself. It gets you out of your head and gets you out of your depression. And going out there like you do and getting involved with helping other people. You know, you can help the Special Olympics. You can help Team Red, White, and Blue. You can do so many things to help others that just makes you feel good about who you are and what you got to contribute to others and gets you out of feeling bad and feeling sorry for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to add. I wanted to add on top of that, just the simple things the things that you guys talked about in a simple way that I've used these terms to do exactly what they both just described. One with Eddie, when he was talking about was the saying that helped me was you can't do anything that you can't see yourself doing in your mind. So the first thing would be to have an imagination, to see yourself being there. And imagine yourself and what it would feel like if you were, a successful business owner rather than just being a business owner. How would it feel to thrive and let that be your guide? Because when you put that inside your mind and you keep that in your mind, then your subconscious mind will start kicking in and it'll start giving you things to do towards that task. If you're constantly thinking about something, there's one book that I read that I loved was Think and Grow Rich. It said, if you just keep it in your mind, you don't even have to take action yet. Just create a burning desire. Think about something and desire it and let it go until it's finally such a burning desire, because after that, then you're just going to take action no matter what. Your body's going to be ready, your mind's going to be ready, and you're going to go for it. The other thing was when we were talking, John was saying about getting angry and making decisions. He's totally right. The way that it was explained to me was that there's the faculty of the mind, there's the emotions, and then we have reason. And whenever something happens to you, like you say, we feel like we don't have a choice because somebody spit on me, and we're like, well, I don't have a choice because I have to do this. Well, the first thing was that you're reacting based on emotion. So first, go ahead and feel it. Feel anger. Feel the thing that you got to feel. But after that, then go upstairs to your reason, and then use your reason and your logic to see, if I react in this way, will it benefit me? Will I go to jail because of it? Am I going to cause a ruckus? Is all this other things going to happen? You have to think logically of what's going to happen after that. So I love that. And it was just those little sayings that really helped me, was like, take it upstairs, your logic. First feel it, then go upstairs and then get your logic out of it.
Nice. Well put.
I mean, giving up your choice is definitely a choice. I mean, that's absolutely one of the things that people don't realize is that, if you choose to react, that's a choice, and all you're doing is then not choosing what your response is, and that's the key difference, is that, like, when you respond, that's when you make a conscious decision. This is the best thing that can happen, or the best thing I can do in this situation, and that's something that, like, too often we give it up without even really thinking about that. The thing I want to say though is that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and so I really appreciate you guys for being on the show today. And I think that's the thing that, like, I'm really pushing for in going forward, stuff like that. In fact, I'm working on developing, situations where we can bring people together just like this and help each other, not only for, like, the general business things, but also their life and the things that will support them and all the things that they want to achieve, beyond the simple business goals. So that's something that, one of the things I'm working on, and we'll definitely talk more about that in the future and stuff. Is there anything that anybody wants to share as to one of their biggest takeaways for today? I'd like to just kind of open it up a little bit just for that before we wrap things up. Go
ahead, I'll talk last.
Well, I like the fact that everything that we're saying it's all related. It's actually the exact same philosophy. It's just we all have learned different ways of explaining it, or different ways that it's been explained to us. So I think that's great, and I think, like, what we should take away and everyone else should take away is, if this is about business and you're trying to become successful in life, I'm sure you realize that all the things that we're talking about are self-improvements rather than business improvements. We're not giving you business secrets, we're giving you life secrets towards yourself to build yourself, because the only way you can have success is if you become a success in yourself and in your mind, to be able to have the character that a successful person has, to have the habits that a successful person has. And that's why I think this is great. I think it's great, all this conversation that we're having, and it's good information.
Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because we didn't really, you're right, we didn't talk much about business, but, you know, I mean, me being an entrepreneur, and I mean, leaving Bank of America, leaving the security blanket, and, you know, I'm going through a divorce and whatnot, and you know, my wife and I get along great, we really do, and it's been an amazing experience, but, you know, going back to marketing, finance, accounting, conversations, I mean, these things are all crucial. I think as an entrepreneur, I think what I see the patterns as a banker is that at the end of the day, you're a leader, man. I mean, you're the damn leader. You're the tip of the spear, you know? And you people who are smarter than you to figure some solutions out for certain things, but being able to have the right mindset as a team leader that's going to be inspiring and that becomes more of a facilitator for the acquisition of these big goals that are part of that overall vision of what the company is, right? And the purpose behind that organization. There's only going to be one person that's going to have the most passion about and anybody else. Someone can be very passionate about accounting or marketing, but when it comes to driving that ship to the right direction, it's going to be the CEO. It's going to be you the founder of this organization. And you're right, it does come down to, we'll learn the other stuff. You know, accounting, we can hire someone to figure that, we can hire an attorney to figure that stuff out, but to get the answers right. But as a leader, being able to have the character straight, the discipline, right, the motivation. People are looking up to you to pump them up. The moment leadership breaks down, I hate to say that, it kind of spreads downhill, you know, really quickly. So for me, I mean, one thing I'm going to take away from here today, you know, sharing with you guys what you guys shared is that realizing that, you know what, it's so important to continue developing investing in yourself, right? Investing in yourself, reading the next cool book that comes out, The Outliers, whatever comes out. I mean, just keep investing in yourself. Keep collaborating with people. These little circles. This is last minute. I wasn't planning on being here, but I am really glad that I did this, because the dynamic conversations that happen between people, between mindsets, is pretty damn powerful. And I hate to say this, but I wish much rather do this all day long than reading books, because it's the collaboration of people and human beings where information gets down it very, very quickly. And that's one thing I'm taking away from here today.
Awesome, thanks. Duff?
Yeah, I mean, so much. I think I've gained so much from listening to the experiences of different people and how their mindset as leaders, as thinkers, as learners, everybody on this call, entrepreneurs, we have different experiences. We work in different fields, but we seem to all kind of understand the importance of being a leader, being an entrepreneur, being somebody who inspires others, and having those qualities. And so I think everybody that just listening and learning from everybody has been a great experience for me. There's a book I read called, or a saying, Lead Without a Title. And I think we all have to be leaders. And sometimes you have a title and you're a leader with that title. But even when you don't have a title, you still can be a leader, and you still need to lead and step up and be a leader. And that's a very important thing, I think, in life, in entrepreneurship, in everything we do, in our family, in our community, being a leader and providing that inspiration to others, no matter what role we are playing and what position we have, is something we can all contribute. And that's one of the things I would like to add as a takeaway as well.
Thank you.
Changing my business card tomorrow.
Let's do it. We got to get together, man. I got to meet you.
Facilitator.
Sounds good, brother.
How about you, George? What do you find to be today's biggest takeaway for you?
Let me wrap up everyone's what I took away from each person, and then I'll give a little thing of what I want to say. Chris, what I got from him was he really stressed on the art and science. You know, the way I was hearing it is the yin-yang, basically, like with Xavier and myself. I'm the producer, he's the director, and he's saying when you're an entrepreneur, you're the artist, you're the guy with the craft, you know, you're the guy doing that side, and I don't think he got to the point to where you don't have the business side, you don't have, you know, business owner and entrepreneur sometimes don't mean the same thing. You know, they really don't. So that's the part where when you look for that mentor, make sure you're choosing the right mentor. You're not choosing somebody because you're the same as that person, and now you guys are doing the same things, and you have too much of one thing, and your business still ends up failing. So it's like balance. What I got out of Chris was just make sure you're balanced. From Eddie, the organization and managing expectations. Organization, I don't care. You say I have OCD, I don't care. Okay, I have OCD then, whatever you say, but I'm organized, and I'm like, I need my stuff in order. That's the only way I can look at a calendar, I can look at something very quickly, and whoop, a lot of information just comes into my mind, and I'm back on track. Whether it's a planning guide, it's a calendar, it's whatever, organization. The managing expectations. So many times it's, you know, back to what Xavier said, here, then here. You know, you start here, then here. People are emotional. Entrepreneurs are emotional because they love their babies, they love their business, they love whatever. It's like, oh, but poor me, poor. It's as motivated as people as I've seen, the most hard-charging people, I have to talk them out of self-pity. I personally don't get to that place, but I talk the top leaders out of self-pity. So managing expectations, what do you expect? What amount of work did you do, and what do you expect in return? Or, you know, how fast did you expect those returns? When do you expect to reap those benefits? Let's be realistic. Let's set those goals, and then let's see. I'm not having unrealistic expectations, basically. That's what I got from Eddie. From John Duffy, question your beliefs. And, you know, that's hard to do because when you question your beliefs, you start losing friends very quickly. Friends, I say. And, you know, you hit it right now with the top 5 people. You're going to be the most like, you know, you're like the top 5 people. Well, when you start losing your friends, that's hard in the initial stages. But questioning your beliefs is hard because everybody that you loved, everybody that you trusted, everybody that you had some kind of tie with is who gave you those beliefs, probably. And so now it's hard to start questioning those things. And then you realize, damn it, mom, or damn it, dad, or damn it, uncle, or damn it, friend, or damn it. And it's like, the people that you loved and trusted the most, you have a little resentment for a little while, then you get over it and then move forward or whatever, but it's part of growing, it's part of learning, it's part of understanding who you are. Okay, for Xavier, the goal setting, you know, when you have your main goal, you put a yearly goal, your monthly goal, your weekly goal, and your daily goal, just drawing 5 circles and putting that in there. What are you going to do today? You got to pay up, dude. What are you going to do today? By the end of the week, what should you have done? What's that check going to look like that you owe yourself? By the end of the month, you should have this amount of compiled effort done. What does that effort look like? By the end of this year, what is this compiled effort of work that you so-called tell me that you're doing? What does it look like? You can't lie to yourself. You got to start putting it out there. You got to start setting those goals, and you got to start doing the work. There's nobody can do the work for you. Okay. And then from you, John Chang, you know, making money is not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not, if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you're trying to be a businessman, you're trying to be somebody getting into this game to make money, be gone. This is not your thing. This is not for you. You do not have the heart for it. You do not have the soul for it. You do not have the passion to fight this fight. You know, to be an entrepreneur, you're gonna get your ass whooped a few times. You're gonna get knocked down, but you better have the guts to get back up and hit it again, and come up with a new strategy and come up with a new plan, and ask for help again, and be humble enough to beg people to help you again and again and again until however much you have to do it until you win. If you're not willing to do whatever it takes to win, stop now. Save yourself the trouble. You have to have inside a desire and a passion to win. You've got to have to want to win. You can't just have money. It can't just be for the cash. You know, and then the last thing that I add in is there's no cavalry coming. I say this all the time. I was in the armor corps in the Army, and who goes out in front of us is the cav, and sometimes the cav send in some ships. Well, guess what? There's no cav coming. There's nobody coming to save your ass. It's you. When you wake up and you're like, oh, damn, I don't want to get up, that's you. That's a decision you're about to make. That's the wrong decision. You need to jump the fuck up. You need to get up. You know, when you go over there and you want to take a little mini break and it's not break time, you need to get your ass back down. You need to be scheduled and organized. You need to handle your stuff. There's nobody coming to save you. If not you, then who? Nobody. You have to do it. That's
awesome.
what I got.
Thanks, George. Really appreciate the recap. Yeah, and again, thanks everybody for being on. This is really awesome. This is a new format, as I mentioned, doing a jam and stuff like that. We'll see, how folks like it, and if we'll possibly see about doing another one. I'm just going to basically wrap up by saying that next week we're going to have a couple of special guests coming on. One of which is my friend Lauren. She's a accomplished artist and author. And may possibly even have Alan Petrosky, who's an actor who's also done some producing as well. So again, thanks for everybody who's watching, and we'll look forward to having you on next time.